scary.
She's scary.
She's got attitude. You play her completely, well, differently than any role that you've played before. So the fact that we say Gentleman Jack, but he, or a name like that, was a woman.
Yeah, so that's a derogatory term, which Sally has reclaimed, so called the series Gentleman Jack, which I think is a brilliant decision from her. So gentleman because of her manly attire and her male pursuits, and that she was gender non-conforming, and we're talking about in the early 19th century.
So this is a lady called Anne Lister.
Yeah.
So this is in the 19th century. She was from Halifax, and they called her the word lesbian wasn't actually used then, was it?
Didn't exist.
So people, because she wore a lot of men's clothes and she was fairly manly in her approach to life and even the way she walked and talked, this is where Gentleman Jack came from, which was a derogatory term.
Yeah, yeah. And she also had an affectionate term, which was Freddie, used by her lovers as well, which we see in episode 1. But yeah, she was groundbreaking. She is an epic character from history. She left 5 million words of a diary, and 6 of them were in code. A really important historical document because they discussed her affairs and relationships with women and her ideas on gender and the fact that she didn't conform to societal
Suranne,
norms.
whereas that would be, you know, very acceptable today, how would eyebrows have been raised, or to what degree was that regarded as shocking then?
So, to say it's transgressive is an understatement, because what she was doing, I mean, she's so authentic, so there was no blueprint, there was no word for lesbian, there was no communities like we have now, so she was just living to her true nature, and she loved women. But for men it was illegal because they could be hanged for it, but they didn't believe that women could have sexual relationships because they couldn't understand why.
So they were slightly ignored, were they?
It was ignored, so she was kind of hiding in plain sight. And
but she was not just this, you know, we're talking about that side of her, but she was a formidable businesswoman. She was a formidable character and person, wasn't she? And groundbreaking, as you said, a woman ahead of her time.
Yeah, I'm glad you say that, because she made such a huge contribution to history, and it's amazing. We were saying just before we came on air that we didn't know about her, because I didn't before Sally sent me these scripts. And Sally's been working on it for 20 years, and she couldn't get it away because the time wasn't right. And now we get to celebrate her on prime time, 9 o'clock on Sunday.
You said the diary she wrote, these huge diaries, and they were, a lot of it was in code about her kind of sexual side of her life, and then it was one of her family and somebody else, they broke the code, and even then, when they realised what she was writing about, went, oh, no, this can't get out. And the diaries were hidden for many years, weren't they?
Arthur Burrow wanted to burn the diaries, and John Lister said, no, let's hide them, and he put them in behind the wall at Shibden, which is where we actually got to film. And they were hidden there for 50 years, then the library got them, and then a historian called Helena Whitbread got hold of the code, and she managed to crack them. It took her 5 years to decode. And even
I love she wrote them in code. How clever is that?
It's brilliant, yeah, because then she could be as free as she wanted to be.
What
with all
about
her
you?
secrets.
How free were you playing this character? Because, you know, whether it's Scott and Bailey, whether it's Karen in Coronation Street, whatever we know and love you for, Dr. Foster, whatever, this is a new you. Was it enjoyable?
I think it's like, to be a 40-year-old actress, to play this part, I mean, she's 41, so to use the 40 years that I've got on my experience, to be given the chance to play this, I'm just thrilled.
And also, even physically, you said, you know, she was formidable, she was striking, she strode everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And Amy and I were talking about that earlier. I was saying, well, she strode once up to the village or something, but when you're filming, you're doing 25
again and again and again, yeah. And it's all in the diaries that she wore black. So it's all true. It's all based on fact. Yeah, I got in the gym. We played with gender with my costume, so I wore male underwear over a female corset. I mean, it's thrilling, the whole thing of kind of putting this thing together.
And you can see it, is it a one-off on Monday night at 9 o'clock?
8 episodes.
8 episodes, OK.
Starts on Sunday.
Starts